Hi, I'm Amy Karanik. I'm filming from my home studio today, and this project takes me way back to Pet Rocks. This is Alien and Pirate Pet Rocks with Sculpey 3. I've picked out a couple different rocks from my landscaping, and the first thing I'm going to do is prep each one of them with some craft glue. And you could use any white craft glue that's white and dries clear, and just put a real thin coating of the glue all over the rock where it's going to come into contact with clay. You don't have to do the entire rock, but anywhere that the clay is going to touch the rock, make sure and get some glue on there. So I'm spreading this really thin over the surface, and then I'm just going to let this air dry. It's kind of weird because the clay will stick to dried glue better than it will if you try to put the clay right on the wet glue. When you're picking rocks, if you're using rocks from your home landscaping or wherever you're getting them, just bring them in and clean them with soap and water. Make sure they're dry and that they're room temperature before you start putting your clay elements on. I want to show you how to make the pirate rock first, the cute little do-rag and an eye patch. I've got this sort of reddish color rock from my landscaping, and I've noticed that it doesn't sit straight up, so I want to make sure I put all the details on the front part so that when he's sitting on a desk or a windowsill you can see the details real easily. I've got a ball of white Sculpey 3. It's about 1 inch in diameter, and I'm just using my work surface to dome it up, and then I'll just push that onto the top of his head and snug it down around so that it really grabs onto the shape of the rock, and flatten that bottom part so it looks like he's wearing it. Then I'm going to take a couple balls of clay, a couple little balls, they're about 1/4 inch thick, and I'm going to taper them so it's fat in the middle and thin on both ends, and that will be the little tails coming out from his knot where he's got this do-rag tied onto his head. And then I have another 1/4 inch ball that I'll just put right on top for the knot. Okay, and then you want to take just a lot of little balls of black and flatten those all over his do-rag to make it polka dot. Now you could use as many colors as you want on this project and really make him have a fancy do-rag. You could do whatever you want. I'm using just a few basic colors to keep it simple and easy to do, but let your imagination go crazy and make yourself an awesome pirate pet rock. Take another ball of about a little bigger than 1/4 inch, and this will be his eye, and I'll just press it on right there. And that glue we put on earlier and let it dry is really helping the clay to just stick right on. The next part is a smaller ball for the pupil. And then I always like to add just a little white highlight to the eye to make it look like somebody's actually home in there. Okay, now I'm going to add a little strip of black, and I'll kind of put it above his eye and then just running under his do-rag. That'll be for his eye patch. And for the eye patch, you want to have basically a round pancake of clay, and then I'm going to cut the top off straight, and then that can attach right onto the bottom of the eye patch strap. So there you go. You'd want to add a lot more polka dots and decorations to his do-rag before you bake him. The whole thing goes right in the oven, rock and all. Follow the instructions on your package to bake him for the right time and temperature, and there's your pirate. Next, we're going to work on making the alien pet rock with these crazy arms that are reaching out to grab you. And I have a darker rock from my garden, and I'm going to start with the eye. So just take a bit of purple, about a 1/4 inch ball, and flatten that right off center on the front of your rock. Add a smaller bit of clay for a big white eyeball, a smaller piece still for a black pupil, right in the middle, or you could put it off center if you want to make him look kind of crazy. And then, like I said before, I always put that highlight on the eye to make him look like somebody's home, actually thinking thoughts in that head. Okay, this one's a little different than the pirate because this rock won't stand up on its own. So I'm going to take like a 5/8 inch ball of the purple and set my rock right in there. And then I'm going to flatten about a 1/2 inch ball of clay into a thick pancake and cut it in half. That gives me 2 semicircles, and these are going to be the feet. And I just push those right onto the front of that base that we stuck on the bottom of the rock. And then I've got several little balls of clay to make for toes on the front. And this big foot with these toes will be a nice base to help him stand up on his own. Make sure he's standing in there well and that the clay is all snugged around the bottom. Now I want to show you how to make these cool arms. I make this type of thing quite often. Sometimes I make them for frogs or lizards or even chicken feet. And what you do is you start out with just a club of clay, and then what I do is spin it in my hand to make one end more pointed. I spin it between these 2 fingers, and then I flatten by pinching this end. I flatten it out. Okay, then to separate it for fingers, I take a knife tool and push it in and then pull this apart. Just kind of wedge it in there. And you can make as many of those indentations as you want depending on how many fingers you want, and then separate these out. And then just start pulling and pinching each little finger out away from the base. And then I like to take a tool that's has a nice smooth but rounded edge and push it in there to maybe more define and round that space between the fingers. And just keep playing with this, pushing and pulling and pinching until you have the fingers the shape that you want them for your alien hand. If you want to make this area here thinner for a wrist, you can just twirl it while pinching it in your hand. And there you go. So I've got 2 alien hands. We're going to put these on last. And I'm kind of bending them around the back of the alien. And then pose them however you would like. There again, this whole guy goes in the oven, rock and all, 275 for about 20 minutes. And you'll have some little creatures to help keep watch over your desk.